Yeah.
virus is going to be coming around, what's most likely going to be coming around to the population, and then we'll make a vaccine for it, and then that's what is distributed in the population.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happens.
Okay.
But in terms of how it actually works in your body,
Oh.
so- yeah, so you take part of the virus that you want people to be resistant to, and you're going to inject it into the body. So let's take a look at what actually happens. Let's say when a regular virus, so let's say this is a rhinovirus, which causes the common cold. So viruses have proteins on the outside. So let's say we got a protein here. And then in your immune system, so it's in your lymphatic system and in your circulatory system, you have cells that are called B cells. And so B cells are pretty cool that they can actually mutate their own DNA. And so they mutate a specific region of DNA that makes this little receptor on the outside. And so that receptor is what tries to bind to foreign objects that are in your circulatory system, for example, viruses. And so what happens is if this randomly mutated receptor here can bind to something on the outside of the virus, that B cell is going to realize that, hey, I found something foreign, and then it's going to initiate an immune response. And so it's going to do two things. So this cell is going to divide, and it's going to make a cell here that's going to make a whole bunch of antibodies. So an antibody, I'll write this up a little higher. Is a protein that recognizes a specific target. And so this cell over here, which is called a plasma cell, is going to produce a whole bunch of these antibodies that recognize this specific virus, and it's going to spread that all over your body. And so anytime this antibody is next to a virus, it's going to bind to it, and that's going to alert the killer cells in your immune system to attack and destroy that virus. So the second part of this interaction, which is pretty cool, is this memory cell. And so this is a B cell that is going to hang out in your body long term. That's going to have that antibody to that specific virus. And so the next time you get an infection with that virus, that cell will be able to recognize it and very rapidly initiate this response so that you won't actually get sick. And so that is how immunity works. And that's the process that we're trying to activate with vaccines. And so with a vaccine, instead of infecting you with, say, a live flu virus, which would not be a good idea, as nobody likes the flu, what we do is we take flu virus and we actually grow them. So the common way of doing this is kind of creepy. You actually inject the flu virus into chicken eggs, and they grow inside of the chicken eggs for a while. And so lots and lots of virus grows. And then we can harvest the virus and extract it, and then we'll do a few modifications to it, and then we can kill it usually, and then inject it into you or your kids as a vaccine. And so then the B cells will recognize the virus pieces that were just injected into, and then create those memory cells, so that when that flu virus does actually enter your body later in the season, you already have the memory cells that recognize it and can initiate a very fast immune response. All right, so this is another area where there's a lot of controversy and misinformation going around. You know, people saying that vaccines cause autism. So that is absolutely not true. And so that kind of got out into the public by a British doctor named Andrew Wakefield, who put together a fraudulent scientific study to bolster support for a company he was starting. And so that's been repeated again and again in the media. There's celebrities that are pushing don't vaccinate your kids. It's all crap. So even if there was a slight correlation between, say, vaccines and autism, which there isn't, we know for sure that things like measles and polio and rubella kill kids, right? Whereas autism doesn't. So the takeaway is that vaccines work and that they don't cause autism. All right? Second point about vaccines, so they don't just help the person that gets them. There's this important concept called herd immunity. So herd immunity is the reason that school districts require that children get vaccinated. And so the idea is that if you have a high enough percentage of people in a group that have been vaccinated, the virus is not going to be able to spread. So, you know, let's say in this classroom, everybody's vaccinated except for Rick and I. And for the virus to spread, it would have to have a way of getting from me to Rick. But if all of you had the vaccine and can kill the virus right away, it's not going to spread. But let's say if half the class was unvaccinated, you know, it could jump from person to person and still spread through the population.